Hello and welcome to another edition of the Bar Stewards Enquiry. My name's Lee Keys and I'm standing in for Catherine Fry, who is otherwise detained, I'm afraid, but she has left her selections for later on in the show. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, John Lang. And we've got a great show for you tonight. It's the Dublin Racing Festival, some absolutely cracking races. And it's just such a shame with the weather that could play a massive part in Sandown and Wetherby's fate tomorrow. Obviously, we're probably unaware of those meetings that are able to go ahead. But as I say, Leopardstown is pretty much safe, and it should be a cracking weekend where you can put your feet up and watch some fantastic racing. Right, before we get on to the bets, as always, we've got some questions from our listeners, and it's an important part of the show. It makes everyone feel part of it. And there's some terrific questions, as always, from you. So please keep them coming in. It's really good to get the show off on the right footing. So, first question, John. The Charlotte Jones ride at Newcastle this week on the Steward. This was it a great ride, or was it dopey in your opinion by the other jockeys in behind? There was a lot of furore on Twitter. And that question's from Carl Swanson.
Well, it was a series of people riding like puddings, wasn't it? I mean, I sort of half ran away with her, and she sat there like a pudding. And them in I won't call it a chasing group, because it never chased at any point, but them in the other group also sat there like puddings. They're just thick, aren't they? You know.
Yeah, I mean, just the things that I noted from the day, was the time wasn't amazing. It was decent, but it wasn't any sort of much quicker than the other races on the card, or anything like that, to say that it was an extraordinary performance from the Steward. There was a tailwind in quite a heavy one. It's unusual for Newcastle. It's normally a west-northwest wind. It was a south-southeast, and that was helping the front end keep going. So I think anything that day that came from off the pace is actually worthy, which is unusual. Newcastle, you've got to be held up, but the front end was holding up well, and like you say, it was a misjudgment from the pack, let's say, rather than Charlotte, who couldn't do anything. She was just hanging on for dear life. The horse had bolted, and that was that. She had nothing to do with the performance of the Steward. And let's be right, if you look at the Steward's back form, he was rated 90s on the flat back in the day, and he's also 3 wins on the all-weather. So I wasn't surprised he put up a performance like that. But yeah, I'd say misjudgment from the others. Thanks for that.
What I don't get, Lee, as well, I mean, we've got this factory called the British Racing School now, churning all the jockeys out, and it can't seem to get them to count in a horse's stride pattern, you know. They seem as though they have absolutely no idea how fast they're going, any of them.
Well, I mean, as we've seen from the past, you know, there are some great front-running jockeys, and that's the idea, that basically they can control a tempo and they know exactly what pace they're going at. Yeah.
You know, your first couple of furlongs, you know, just count pole to pole. Yeah. You know, and have an idea in your head of how fast you need to be going to complete a furlong in 11.5 seconds or whatever, you know. I mean, it's just, it staggers me, you know, that we've got these ex-jockeys and they're sitting them on mechanical horses, telling them to tuck their elbows in and point the toes down, and very little else.
Yeah. Right, thanks for that question, Carl Swanson. Second question is from Christopher Stockhill. Which of the Cheltenham hot pots are the most solid, and which do you think are very beatable? John?
So we're helping Stockhill out with his 10 trebles in a row up then?
Sounds basically.
Like. Yeah. Well, I think from a solid point of view, I don't think you can look past Chabley Park's Norwich Chaser in Roy Allen. He's done everything right. Everybody seems very happy with the horse. Could be one of the ones, you know. As regards want to take on, I'm quite happy to take on Shishkin. I think Nico might find himself between two stools because there's a couple in there that's going to go off like hell. He won't, but he might find himself at the head of the chasing pack at some point, maybe at the top of the hill, and he won't know whether to stick or twist. And he's going to have to ask himself a few questions. I think he's got a tricky decision-making process in that race, and I wouldn't want to be taking too short a price about that one.
Yeah, no, I concur totally with you with that. And like you said, I'm more of a Envoy Allen fan than Shishkin anyway. In terms of winning that race. And for me, I would say my banker of the meeting still. I'm a massive Paisley Park fan. I know Catherine thinks that it's probably better in steadily run races. She was saying earlier, and they do tend to go a good gallop in the stayers. But for me, I take that on board. But I just think he's better than ever. I was incredibly impressed with him last time.
And superb, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Paisley Park for me is the one that I really like at Cheltenham. So fingers crossed for that. Okay, next question. Kieran Burke has put an interesting question to us. Somebody needs to talk about the extra place races that the thieving high street bookmakers will be screaming about, and as usual, will be getting praised by the dimwits in the racing post. In other words, we're going 5 places on this 18-runner handicap that won't mention that we've reduced the fractions from a quarter to a fifth the odds, thus meaning we're thieving 20% of their winnings from 4 cents of punters to give 80% to those that back the fifth. John, interesting point from Kieran there.
Kieran's not wrong either, is he?
No.
We'll also have Splat Chapman in the morning highlighting these races where they're paying 5 places, and the bookies have absolutely played a blinder as they usually do. They're basically getting wonderful publicity because most of the people sat there thinking, that's good, without thinking about it as deeply as Kieran has. And if they did, they'd probably think, well, I'd rather have the old-fashioned orthodox place terms, I know I certainly would. I mean, really, it shouldn't be entering your head if you're having a bet whether it's going to come 5th or 6th, should it?
Not really, no.
You're backing it to win a race, and, we're paying 6 places today. If you're saying thank God for that, you don't fancy it strong enough to have a bet.
Well, I think also that there's no choice either. Basically, so I'll give you an ample example. One of the bookmakers, Sky Bet, you haven't got a choice. You can't say no. I don't want the 6 places. I want the 4 places or the 5. Quarter the odds. There's no choice. You just literally have to take the 5th. And I mean, 16-1 instead of 4-1 becomes 16-5, which is just above 3-1. It's quite a bit. They're not daft. Like you said, they've played a blinder with this. Good point, that Kieran.
They haven't had one word of criticism anywhere, have they?
No. It's as if they've been uber generous, and I'm one of the old school. I'd rather have the old terms. Thank you very much. Final question for us this week. Tom Jenkins sent this one. If when betting is banned or limited to peanuts for terms of bets you can get on, would you still watch and enjoy horse racing? John?
If horse racing was still taking place without betting, if I had enough money, I could quite happily sit here and say I've struck my last bet and I don't give a monkeys, in all honesty. I don't particularly get a buzz out of betting. It's only ever been a means to an end for me.
Yeah.
And if I had plenty of money, I probably wouldn't bet, but I'd definitely follow horse racing because I love the sport. And I think anyway, if the Gambling Commission got its way and everybody was limited to losing the price of a bag of peanuts every month, well, it would probably just go underground anyway, and we'd be back to this. Well, we'd be in a situation like in the early 60s when it was illegal bootmakers, razor gangs, and all sorts of stuff going on. Might be a bit more exciting anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously for me it'd be devastating because it's my living. I definitely haven't got enough to retire, so I'd have to do something else. I'd probably end up driving Amazon vans, I think. But I mean, the thing is, I mean, it's a worrying time. This gambling commission, and I resent the likes of Peter Shilton doing this, and making campaigns and lobbying MPs, and it's like, just because he's shit at gambling, I mean, it's just unfair on the ones that aren't. And again, we're in a society where we want to ban and cancel everything, and it really is a depressing thought. So
the thing is now, I think the signs were there when there was talk, when all this COVID nonsense started, when they were talking about moving towards a cashless society.
Yeah.
And paying everything on your card. Because personally, I thought that was the thin end of the wedge. Because then they've got you, haven't they? They know everything you're spending and on what, And then you get to 65 and you're ready for your state pension. And they say, hang on a minute, fatty, you haven't looked after yourself. Look at what you've spent on booze. Look at what you've spent on fags. There's no NHS going to help you out. And we're going to cut your pension down as well because you haven't really budgeted for your old age there. You're going to require a lot of care. So we're knocking a few quid more off. And I think all they want is drones that are capable of going to work, coming home, going to bed, and getting up the next day and doing it again. And I think that's like the utopia that some people are aiming for that own these governments at the minute.
Well, yeah, you're right there. I mean, it seems to be that's where we're headed. An uber form of control back on society. That's what seems to be the in the offing. Anyway, thanks for that question, Tom. On to the racing. We're going to look at two races at Sandown before moving on to Leopardstown. As I said, it's the meeting is in doubt. There's quite a substantial amount of rain forecast, which is unfortunate, but we can have fingers crossed that this meeting will go ahead. It's going to be obviously very heavy ground. And the 150 at Sandown is the Virgin Bet Scilly Isles novice chase, a fantastic novice chase, possibly, I would say definitely the best novice chase on offer in the UK this season. Fascinating contest for sure. John, have you any thoughts on the Scilly Isles?
Well, Chandler obviously dropping in trip. They're going to make a fair bit of use of, I would have thought. And I would imagine this will be to see if he's fast enough to go the shorter route at the festival. So my worry with that one is, as always, the quickest way to get a confirmed stay base is to go too quick early on.
Yeah.
I think bolting him into every fence and trying to nick a bit down the back into the railway fences, if Hitman travels and stays the extra half mile, which I think I'm probably 90% certain he will, he can be turning in 2 lengths down and going well and just have too much tour for him.
Yeah.
But it's a fascinating race, really.
It is. And I've been going back to the point of Shambling. I don't think he's as good as Hitman. I genuinely believe Hitman is the better chaser. But what I will say is I had a bit of digging around, and last 20 runnings of this, there's only 2 horses ever managed to win held up. And the fear for me is that they're going to potentially drop Hitman out. Like you say, you'd like to see a slightly handier rider, not giving Shamblu too much rope. Shamblu, no question in my mind, they'll like you say, they'll attack dropping in trip. They know it gets 3 miles, so there's no point in taking leads. They'll just get on with it. It's a keen going sort anyway, and tactically it could be fascinating. But I'm in your camp. In the Hitman for me is the better horse, but if I'm betting on the race, say from an in running angle, I'm definitely more keen to back Shamblu pre-play, maybe to sort of lay a bit out at slightly shorter. Just have a pinch kind of that could be a good play. But what a contest that is! And I said others that I haven't mentioned, Dame de Campagne, Sporting John, all Béziers des Herbes, real class animals. So
there'll be a lot of adjustments to certain Fez folios, won't there? After
absolutely. So that is a race. I'm just, rather than probably getting too involved, I'm looking forward to watching that. So I really hope Sandown goes ahead for that. The next race at Sandown is the rescheduled Cotswold Chase, like chalk and cheese, Sandown and Cheltenham. No idea. Catherine was talking earlier and said she felt that this race should have been run at Chepstow. Hard to argue with that, because Chepstow's left-handed, and they've got the meeting on today, no problem. But we can't expect the BHA to make sensible decisions. So we've got Sandown. John, any thoughts in this?
Well, they could have run it at Redcar, and it would have been more like Cheltenham, wouldn't it? I mean, Bristol Demise is a proper heavy ground slugger, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it might just have it his own way. Native River, I wasn't convinced with the comeback run. I'm not saying he's dead, but there's definitely a problem with his pulse. And Santini just looks a grade A, doesn't he? Really.
Yes.
And I mean, attritional conditions, it's quite a staple at Sandown. I just don't know whether he'll fancy it in the slop. I think it's not a race I'd be keen to get involved in. I mean, I was talking to Ginger Hitler about it earlier in the week, and he said Bristol Demise no good after Christmas. I said, well, I didn't really know he celebrated Christmas much, but I'm inclined to just take a watching brace, really. But if pressed for a selection, I would say Bristol Demise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very similar thoughts to you. The interesting thing for Santini backers tomorrow is obviously Nico off, Aidan Coleman on, which is a massively positive jockey switch. Will that, there's no doubt Santini, if he wants, can win this, no problem, absolutely no. But obviously we've seen he's turned into a bit of a shithouse. If Aidan can somehow, I don't know, different feel, don't know. Personally, I think the horse is a complete nutter. But yeah, that's your hope, that Aidan, the switch to Aidan, will provide maybe Santini, or persuade Santini to go and put his head down and do it. Interesting race though, nevertheless. Right, moving on. Swiftly moving on to the Dublin Festival, which obviously is just fantastic fare. It is. If you can't get excited for tomorrow's racing, and something you're dead inside. 105 Leopardstown tomorrow, the opener there. That's the 2 mile 6 grade 1, the Nathaniel Lacey and Partners Solicitors novice hurdle. Fascinating race, really competitive. John, thoughts on this?
Well, I would just say first, yeah, what a fantastic little mini festival we've got here this weekend. It's Guinness and oysters at the ready, isn't it? Really, to go full on Irish, and
For sure.
get a plate of particularly bland sausages as well. Um, well, I'm a little bit disappointed with this race because I wanted Blue Lord to run in it. To give me a line on how good Bob Ollinger might be, because I'm kind of fancying him for the Cheltenham Festival, actually.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at the favourite, and I thought it must be a complete jade with all those seconds. And then I looked a bit deeper and found it been running in short bumpers over like 12 and 14 furlongs. So for a 2.5 mile horse to be showing decent form in those bumpers, I thought it must have a fair degree of pace about it.
Yeah.
So I ended up thinking that would probably win.
Yeah, it's a fair point, like you say, that basically was it quick enough, for the shorter bumpers in France, and it was incredibly impressive last time out. It absolutely, I can't put into words how impressive it looked. Price tag to match there around 15-8, and I was looking at Gentleman's Game, Mouse Morris, train runner. Blew me away at Cork when I wanted to back it because I love the point run, but I didn't want to back it because it was dropping to 2 miles, and I just thought there's no way this is a 2 miler. Real out and out sluggery looks. Fine grey horse, real size about him.
Yeah.
And he destroyed. Albeit he should have won how he did, because the favourite in the race of Willie Mullins has pulled really hard, and so he should have won how he did, but he did do it how he did, and I really like him up in trip, and I think he's available around 12-1. I thought that was attractive because I think we'll see tons of improvement, but with the drawback that Robbie Power is in the saddle, which is not good. But that was my take. Yeah, it's. But I thought, little squeak maybe there, sort of around the 12-1 mark. But I concur with you. The favourite looks good. Moving on to the Dublin chase, the 135. We've got again a class encounter between Chac and Poursoir and Min. Chac and Poursoir is around the 4-9 mark, I believe. John, thoughts on this? Can we see the favourite getting beat here?
I can't, in all honesty. It's not something I'd care to bet, but I think it'll probably win.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the only thing what I did, I thought he was a bit ragged last time. I mean, he obviously still got the job done, but I just thought, there's the odd sort of blemish in his. If ever he looked sort of, I'd say of his recent performances, it was probably his worst sort of round of jumping. I think so. I suppose there is a hope there that for if anyone fancies Min, that Min could overturn him. But as we know, Min basically needs further than 2 miles, I think, to be right at his best. He's gonna be sort of finding it a very warm pace, I think, back at the 2 miles. So yeah, I think Chac and Poursoir is going to take the world of beating. But like you say, 4-9, there's nothing for us there. No working man's price there. So I think we'll leave that one. The next race on the card we'll look at is the 2:10. That's the Irish Arkle. John, anything here? We've got the favourite, an Ergamine at 5-6. Can you see the favourite doing the business?
I thought there was a potential upset on the cards, and then I've seen the betting, and it probably wouldn't be that much of an upset in most people's eyes. I like Unaccepted. Came out round about 148 plus for me on debut over fences.
Beaten Tukas.
Yeah, possibly with a bit more to come, I would have thought. It won very easily. I think this is potentially a nice horse. This might come soon enough for it, you know what I mean? You see a lot of these novices that start brightly, they jump well because of the jumping isn't put under pressure. It'll probably be under bar pressure tomorrow. But I think, granted normal improvement, this is right on the premises, and I'm very tempted to bet this tomorrow.
Well, I mean, from the each way thief point of view, it kind of looks pretty decent. Obviously, these are the kind of bets the bookmakers hate, but like you say, at the prices, it looks the probably the shrewd play, the old each way, unaccepted against the solid favourite in Ergamine, who absolutely destroyed Captain Guinness last time out, was extremely impressive. But yeah, at the prices, it could be the JP McManus runner. We move on to the next race, is the 245. That's the Matheson handicap chase. It's a 0 to 150 handicap. 5-1 the field, then Tukas and Epsom Dahoo head the market. 5-1 joint favourites. Anything you liked in this, John?
Yeah, I'm going to be boring and tip the favourite Epsom Dahoo. He's absolutely yonked up last time. I don't quite think £13 will cover it. I think it's probably a good horse in the making, this.
Yeah.
And I think there's possibly another £15 or £20 to come.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, last time out, I like you, was incredibly impressed. Just literally, it was a complete rout. And up £13 for that, but still, you think there's loads more to come from this horse. I think you make a good point. And Tukas, for me, I think that's going to be popular with a lot of punters. However, I just feel he's a little bit jaded. You know, in his run, so you know, I've watched him in a finish, and I just think he's getting a bit cute. He's 7 seconds now from 13 starts. It's starting to rack up. So, and Tukas might be a nice little each way bet, but I'd be worried about him in a finish.
We're getting into Jimmy White territory, aren't we?
Yeah, and for me, well, myself and Catherine. Catherine likes the shunter, and so do I. I think Emmett Mullins done a fine job with this horse. Obviously, got it from probably a lesser trainer, shall we say, in the summer. But for me, this horse just keeps improving. And again, similar to sort of Epsom Dahoo, really. You think there's more to come, and I thought the shunter would go extremely well in this, around, I think, the 7-1 mark. So Epsom Dahoo for John, the shunter for myself and Catherine. We move on to the 3:15. It's the Chanel Farmer Irish Champion Hurdle, where we've got the superb mare Honeysuckle headed the market at 6-4. John, did you have any view on this?
I thought Sharjah might beat her, actually. Best ride wins for me. I think it's a little bit of a toss of a coin job, and then, as I say, usually when it gets to them situations, the one that gets the splits when they want them, and the one that jumps best, I think either one of them rattling a couple of hurdles will probably lose the race for them, So I'd just, as a token selection, I'd say the slightly bigger price to the two.
Yeah, you're coming exactly from where I am on this, that it literally will come down, like you say, to sloppy errors or the right move at the right time. And for what it's worth, I think Honeysuckle's getting quite cute now. She's won the last 3 races by half a length, and I think she's not doing a tap really. It's one of them where I think she's wising up that she only has to do enough, and I think we'll see a very, very tight finish here. I think if there was distance betting, I'd be backing under what I don't think there's going to be a winner streaking away with this, but so it's that kind of feel I get on the race, a tricky one. Okay, so we move on now to the 350 race, and we've got something special here. We've got a Bar Stewards Enquiry special for you. All three of us are going max bet on this, and I honestly cannot believe the price here. Drop the Anchor. JP McManus is one of JP McManus's many runners, but I can't. I'm flabbergasted at the odds of 10-1 that's available. It's an incredible price. If you've just watched this horse last three runs, he did ever so well to win at Listowel, where everything was winning on the front end, and he was the one coming from far back. He then got brought down at Down Royal when I thought he was looking like he was coming through to win, and then last time out, he was literally going really fine, going really well, and was brought to a standstill, literally a standstill, when the race was just quickening up at the worst point of the race, at 2 out. And the fact he only got beat 3 lengths at the line was incredible. I thought he'd get beat 30 lengths after that. And the one that's favourite for the race is the one that's beat him 3 lengths. Well, if you go back to that race, no way does Advance Virgo beat Drop the Anchor that day. But for the severe hampering. So it's Drop the Anchor for me. John, do you agree for similar reasons?
All of those reasons. I mean, for me, this is a lap of honour, not a race. You know, I went through this. I can't reasonably see any alternative other than this winning, which is a worry. But here we go.
I do. I think this horse is super progressive, and as long as it runs it, I mean, that's the question. I don't know.
As long as JP doesn't drop the anchor.
Well, that's it. As long as JP doesn't slam down the anchor, then we're cooking. But that it comes with a risk, as we know. It's JP. But for me, if that runs its race tomorrow and it's there to do its best, 10-1 is just simply enormous. I'd make it clear favourite. But as I said, we're in JP's hands. Praise God. It really is down to that. So that's the Bar Stewards special. Drop the Anchor in the 350 at Leopardstown. Yes, absolutely. Right, we move on to Sunday. Some more cracking action. And I know Catherine's got some selections on Sunday. The 240 race, that's the William Fry Handicap Hurdle. I had nothing in here, but Catherine's very keen on Pure Genius each way. I think that's around the 8-1 mark. Pure Genius won an absolute hat canter last time out, and I certainly think 127 underestimates this gelding, and I do think that Catherine's onto one here. Again, we're in the hands of JP this weekend. Come on, JP, don't let us down. So Pure Genius for Catherine in the 240. Did you have anything in the 240, John?
No. I'll just throw in with little Catherine and hope that JP's got his Bible to hand, and he knows that bad boys don't get anywhere.
But I think Catherine, that's a good pick from Catherine, and she's got another pick later on the card. I know, John, you've got some more picks for Sunday. We go to the 340, which is the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup. Fascinating encounter. All the horses that contested the big race at Leopardstown back here at the Christmas meeting, the Savills Chase, are reopposing. John, have you any thoughts in the Irish Gold Cup?
Yeah, I mean, Minella Indo has an obvious chance, and in addition to that, I'd love to see Blackmore win our Gold Cup, in all honesty, because I think she's a better jockey than Bryony Frost, and I'd like to see her get a decent, slower publicity for it.
Yeah.
But in this instance, I'm hoping for a slightly more positive ride on Delta Work. It stays super well, and I think if we make a bit of use tomorrow, he might just have a bit too much gumption at the end for these. he had a substitute jockey on last time when he just landed a bit propped and bounced the lad out the saddle. It wasn't a mistake as such, really. It was just, the kid didn't sit.
I'm not a fan of Sean Flanagan either, really.
No. So I mean, I think this might be Delta Works Gold Cup tomorrow.
Well, it will certainly help if Ken Boy and Mellon get embroiled in the battle that they did last time, which was just taking each other on from miles out. Then it could set up nice for the sluggard. Like you say, I can't knock that out all around the price. I think 4-1's available. That's not bad at all. They've got the right favourite in Manila Indo, obviously departed early last time. But so I'm not personally going to get involved in the race, but I might do a little bit in running, like you say, depending tactically. Tactics will play a part here. If they crawl and there's not much of a tempo to the race, then Delta Works probably going to be struggling. So it's more of an in-running call for me, that one.
I thought I'd wait till they jumped off and see what sort of clip they're going, and then because I'm not going to get a worse price.
No.
So I might as well wait and see.
That's actually, you're right there. I mean, it's probably prudent if anyone else fancies sort of Delta Work, to maybe play in running, because it won't collapse in price for sure. No. Right, the 4:10 race. Catherine has got a selection here, and she tells me she's very keen on the Henry de Bromhead trained Trainwreck. Finished 4th at the Christmas meeting, and knowing Catherine, she didn't go into the reasoning for it, but I sort of had it as probably half not off in the handicap chase at Leopardstown. Basically, it was really wide all the way, and I think basically with a better ride here, I can see where she's coming from. It's off the same mark, 138, so I can't really knock that selection at the prices. John, did you have anything here?
Yeah, I like Mythbuster. I've had this in mind for a decent prize at some point. Ideally, I thought over 3 mile 2 plus, but again, I think conditions are going to help make it a tough race to stay out,
Yeah.
And I think tomorrow could be his day. If not, I don't think it's a well-handicapped horse for an extreme test, and he could pop up sometime in the next couple of months. This horse he's definitely a tracker horse for me at the minute.
You'd like to think they'd go a good pace, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It looks that sort of race where it could be like attritional, so that could play into your hands for sure. I had nothing of any real note there, but so those are the selections from myself, John, and Catherine for the Dublin Festival weekend. John, have you any other business around on the Saturday?
Yeah, Weatherby in the 122 bags race. Papa Tango Charlie. Good form last year, 7 and 2nd with a big breakaway and a novice on soft. 128 underestimates him, I think. Schofield, a very interesting booking, as he has been all the time on this horse.
Yeah.
And I just think that this horse is better than 128 and ought to be showing it, really.
Yeah, and you'd think if it does show up better than 128, then there's nothing in here that could sort of live with that.
It's not a good race, is it? I mean,
no.
You take that one out, and it's like having to listen to a Rihanna album without the videos.
Quality. I love that analogy. Yeah, I mean, Anne Hamilton's probably got the one of the principal threats, I think, in Pay the Piper. But Weatherby due to get quite a bit of rain between now and post time. I think overnight they're predicting quite a lot of rain. So fingers crossed for Weatherby, which is it's going to be quite disappointing if they don't get the go ahead there. Right, yes, so that's that. that's all covered off nicely for the weekend. Like I said, we've got a very, very strong nap in Drop the Anchor. And something to look forward to this weekend. We've got a special Sunday sermon with a special mystery guest. And I can tell you that he's a warned off punter, right? And that he's going to be, like I said, we have no censorship on our show. There's no smoke blowing. It literally is cut to the chase, and it's going to be a tremendous, do not miss episode on Sunday. I can tell you now, you don't want to miss that. So that'll be online around sort of 7 p.m. Sunday evening. So I hope you'll look forward to that. That's all from me and John, and we shall see you again very soon, hopefully Sunday.